What's up, guys? Well, back once again for another fight card prediction. We've got a doozy of a card to break down here. We've got UFC 227 from the Staples Center in Los Angeles, California, as TJ Dillashaw is going to rematch with Cody Garbrandt in one of the fights I've been looking forward to for the longest time. I cannot wait for this rematch. And we also have Demetrious Johnson defending his UFC Flyweight title against Henry Cejudo in another rematch from UFC 187, I want to say it was, or 189. I was at that event, but I can't remember the number. But yeah, that's the card there. Overall, I think it's a tricky card to pick. I think it's going to be a good card. I think there's going to be underdogs that are going to be cashing. So overall, it's a good bet, a good card to have a look at, and ultimately maybe bet on as well. There could be money to be made here. Coming off UFC Calgary, had a great card. Managed to scrape a profit on my bets, not by much. I kind of cashed on Alexander Hernandez and Dustin Poirier that got me out of earlier bets earlier on the night. But overall went 11-2. Had a really good picking night. So yeah, that was brilliant. As always, thank you for all the new subscribers. I'm noticing more people in the chat, new people that I've not spoken to before. So welcome, you guys. I was looking to get to 2,000 subscribers. Now I'm closing in on 2,100. So it's pretty awesome, and it's all due to you guys. So appreciate all the love and support. And yeah, let's just keep the channel growing, and let's see how far we can go with it. So one thing I'm going to get into before we get into the fights in a couple of minutes there. I've been doing this for years, for 3-4 years at least. I get emails through my emails there. If you go there about my page, my email is there, and I get emails all the time, pretty much every card asking me about bets. Now, I'm not a capper. I'm a guy that just likes betting. I'm not the greatest at betting. I'm having a good year this year. I had a terrible year last year, but I just like having some action on the fights. So I don't really recommend people can take my picks, and I've had many emails saying that people have won lots of money off that and tried to send me money to say thank you and so on. And I'm just like, it's not really needed on my part. But it was always nice. And that was a couple of years ago when things were different and I never had a family and so on. And yeah, but like I say, I am not a guy that sells picks. I just give predictions. I love speaking about fights. But like I say, there is people that email me. I literally get it every card. What bets do you think I should put on? And like I say, I don't do that. That's your own money. Now, I've got a friend. His name's Rob, and he's a legit betting guy who bets on pretty much all the combat sports there, and he's kind of helping sponsor kind of me and trying to get himself out there a little bit. The guy is legit as they come. All his bets are third-party tracked, and he's had a winning year every year he's been in the game. He's having a huge, profitable 2018. And yeah, like I said, I've known him for, I want to say 3 years. We speak regularly. I've seen the bets that he wins on. He's got many clients out there who have won lots of money off this guy. This guy puts in the work week in, week out, and he sells his picks. He gives you all the information you need. He's always there to be spoken to, and he's come on board with me here. And he's given me an opportunity for you. He's obviously selling his picks, but he's giving you an opportunity to get them at a discount price just by saying my name. If you go and say Will, you get 20% off any betting package that he has on his website. Now, I know a lot of people like myself. I work a lot of hours, and you don't get the opportunity to watch fights, but people love betting on fights. Rob specializes and sits down, puts lots of hours in on betting. And he's, like I say, he's got clients out there who win money. They've got great testimonials on his website, and he's tracked. Everything's there to be seen, and he's a winner. He's won every year. If you can get a guy like that, you're guaranteed to make yourself money. So, like I say, the guy's got different betting packages. He's got a weekly one. He's got a monthly one. He's got a yearly one. If you go to his website and quote Will, you get 20% off the package. Great value, in my opinion. What as well is that we've kind of spoken about, if any of the guys that are on here that move over and they say that and they buy a package, I get a little bit back off that, which goes directly into my daughter's bank account. that's exactly where it's going. I'm not making anything off this, but it's an opportunity for, if Rob makes something off it, he's giving back to me, and I'm giving it to my daughter, which was a big thing for me. I want to try and give my daughter the best life possible. And this, if you like betting on fights, Rob is the guy. There's many good cappers out there. Rob is one of the best guys out there, and will help you win yourself a load of money. So, yeah, I will post the website down below in the drop-down box. This is the thing I'm going to be speaking about frequently in the future, because, like I say, if you go with Rob, it's ultimately helping me. So, and it's ultimately helping my daughter. So, even if nothing comes of it, I still think it's good to get him out there. I think that not enough people know about Rob and the work that he puts in, and the money that he wins people. So if you want to win money, go to robbrownbetting.com and you will win money. I guarantee off that. Now, betting on MMA is a kind of weird one at times, because the judges sometimes make decisions and so on, but this guy puts in the work to win you money. So, like I say, mention my name, Will, 20% off any package. I think it's a great deal. Okay, so we're going to move on, and we're going to move into this UFC fight card from LA. I've got a lot of people, actually. I've got some friends out there. I know Jamie's made his way out there. I've got my friend Ollie and Alex that are going to be out there for the card. So enjoy the card when it comes around. I'm a jealous one, because I love the main event. I think it's a really solid card. But we're going to start off in the bantamweight division with Marlon Vera, who's coming in here for Barak Kandari, who I thought that was going to be an easy win for Wuji Burin, who is the opponent of Marlon Vera here. I saw the line for this. All the lines are out already, which is awesome. And he's like a -400 favourite. I don't agree with that in the slightest. I don't think Marlon Vera should ever be a -400 favourite over anybody. I know that Burin is not the best guy you've ever seen out there. Coming through, I think he's got like a 12-5 record. Not great. And he lost to Rolando D. That to me is a bit of a red herring out there. It's a bit of a flag that, like, if you can't beat him, who's not one of the best guys in the UFC. Now, I don't think Vera is a world beater, but he has faced a better caliber opposition. He's coming off 2 losses to John Lineker and Douglas De Silva de Andrade. But this is a step down for Marlon, and this is a big step up for Burin here. Like I said, he's coming off that loss to Rolando D, and Marlon's coming off his 2 losses. I think that Marlon is ever improving. I think that his striking is okay. He fights. He's quite a long guy for the division. He fights with teeps and some hooks and so on. Like I said, I don't think he's a great fighter, but I think he's making improvements. I like the fact that he's went to a bigger camp at Team Oyama, and I just don't think that Wuji Burin is overly that great. So, yeah, I'm going to pick Marlon Vera. I've got no real confidence in him. Wouldn't surprise me if Wuji gives him a little bit, gives him some problems in there. But for me, I just think that Marlon Vera is the better fighter, and he's faced a better caliber opposition, and he should win this pretty convincingly. Burin's tough, so I'll let him get to decision. So I'm going to pick Marlon Vera via a decision there. Women's strawweight division. This was an eye-opener for me when I seen this. Danielle Taylor against Weili Zhang. We'll start off with the newcomer here in Weili Zhang. This girl is a buzzsaw. Now, I heard about this girl, I want to say probably towards the end of 2016. I heard some rumblings on Twitter, went and looked her name up and watched one fight. Didn't really think anything of it. She wasn't in the UFC. So I thought, yeah, I'm not going to look at it. Then when I heard she got signed to the UFC here, I went back and I went on Tapology, which is the site I use to go and check out all fight picks and just fighter profiles and so on. And I checked, this girl's finishing second round, first round, second round, first round. She's taking girls out, and she's taking them out ground and pound, submissions. I was like, oh, okay. So I'm going to, when I saw this card and I started breaking it down, she was the first girl I went to look at, or the first fighter actually I went to look at. And I loved what I saw from Zhang. She is what I describe as a buzzsaw who just absolutely goes through girls in any way possible. I've seen her knock people out with knees from the clinch. I've seen her get to the ground. When she hits the ground, she instantly moves to to mount, and she instantly either finds a submission or some hefty ground and pound. On the feet, she's very good. She's very aggressive, comes forward. She swings a bit too much, so she is open to being hit by a better striker. But she'll spin a lot. She spins a lot off both sides, and she'll double it up at times as well. Very aggressive, very good, I think. But she has been facing girls that are not... they're not bad. Some of them have got winning records. Majority of them have got iffy records. But she's beaten who's put in front of her, and she flies through them. What impresses me the most is the variety of her finishes. I've seen her get takedowns. She's very aggressive, and she, like I said, she gets to top position. Even if she don't, she gets to side mount, and then she'll get to top position. And then she'll look for submission. She's got arm bars. She's got girls that are shooting in on her. She's got guillotines. And I very much think that she's got rear naked chokes in there. She's got different submissions. Her aggression is what sets her apart. She's so aggressive. And pretty accurate as well as a striker. And I think she's a welcome addition to the UFC strawweight division. And I like her matchup here against Danielle Taylor. Danielle Taylor is just a spoiler of a fighter. She doesn't really bring the fight. She really stays at distance. She's one of the smallest fighters in the UFC. And she tries to kind of fight, get in for a few shots, then run off. So obviously I don't think she's going to want to be in exchanges here with Zhang. I think that Zhang will light her up. I think she can get takedowns. And I just don't think she's going to... I think she's going to be like an anti-fighter in this one. I don't see her initiating the fight. I see her trying to counter as Zhang comes forward. And that might be a good game plan for her, because Zhang is going to come forward and she's going to throw a lot of shit at Danielle Taylor. So potentially she could counter her and hit her off the aggressiveness of what Zhang is going to show. For me, I just think Zhang is going to cut the angles off and stop Danielle Taylor in her tracks. And when she hits her with some of these strikes, or especially if she gets her to the ground, I think she does finish her. On the feet, I think that she could hit Danielle Taylor with something. Danielle Taylor's been knocked out before. And for me, I think I'm going to go with Zhang here. I think that she's the better fighter. She's more aggressive. She's just a buzzsaw, like I said at the beginning, breaking down this fight. I really liked what I saw of her on the tape. I know it was against lesser opposition, but Danielle Taylor is not a world beater. And I think that Zhang is just a really welcome addition to the UFC personally. So I've got her via stoppage. I'm going to pick her via submission. I think she'll find a way to get to the ground, and from there she'll work a submission. So I'm going to go maybe an early third round or a late second round win for Zhang there. Moving on, this is the fight that really interests me. Ricardo Ramos against Kyung Ho Kang. And firstly of all, I'll say the line is off in this one. I don't think the line is like minus, I think plus 220 on Kang. I don't think it should be that high. These are two guys I am really high on in this division. I've been high on Kang for the longest time. I think he's a really good fighter. Those guys that come out of Korea are huge for their weight classes. Big advantages with the reach usually. Dong-Hyun Kim was the same. They're just massive guys for the division, and you've seen that in the last fight with Guido Cannetti for Kang. That was his first fight, I want to say, in about 3.5, 4 years. You could see he was a little bit rusty, get hit with some shots that in the past he wouldn't really get hit with too much. His defense has never been great, but Cannetti had a little bit of a success in that fight by just being aggressive. But eventually, once he got the opportunity to grapple with Cannetti, he put all that weight into that triangle, and the fight was kind of done from there. And he went on and won that fight. Eventually, got the first round stoppage. He's a guy that I've liked watching for 5 years, however long he's been in the UFC. They've got a mutual opponent here in Michinori Tanaka, who they both faced. He was very aggressive in that fight and got the takedown. And Tanaka's the kind of guy that likes to kind of implement that game plan by taking you down and stifling you down there. And he did that fairly well against Tanaka. Tanaka's a tough guy to face, I think. And he beat him via split decision. That was in Japan. I thought it was a little more of a unanimous decision to me. And then before that, he beat Shimizu via an arm triangle choke, with his only loss, I think, in the UFC, coming against Chico Camus. Ricardo Ramos, Loved what I've seen him in his UFC debut. I bet him in that. He was a big underdog. I think he was a plus 200 underdog against Michinori Tanaka. I think I got him at plus 190 over here in the UK, and I bet him. And he's a guy that I've known about from obviously Dana White went to view him when he was fighting Manny Vasquez, and Manny Vasquez beat him by submission. I think the nerves got on top of him, and then that was kind of really him. But then he got another opportunity to beat Alfred Kajukan, I think that's how you pronounce it, and he won via submission there. Came into the UFC against Michinori Tanaka, dropped him early he planted his right foot and hit him with a beautiful, beautiful straight shot down the pipe that bloodied up the mouth of Tanaka, and pretty much he won the first 8 to 9 minutes very, very convincingly. After that, Tanaka started to come into the experience of Tanaka in the grappling, and ultimately he got the fight to the ground, and I think Tanaka probably won that last round, if I remember off the top of my head. And followed that up with an amazing knockout of Ayman Zahabi, where he was landing the bigger shots on Zahabi, and eventually caught him with that beautiful spinning back elbow that absolutely turned out the lights of Zahabi. It was kind of scary seeing that knockout when you go back and watch it. He was out. It was a heavy shot, but he was outclassing Zahabi in that fight. Comes from a BJJ background, jiu-jitsu background. We don't really see that. That was his main staple before he started getting. He looks a competent striker to me. I think he uses his jab very well. But we don't really see enough of that, in all honesty. I think there's more to come from him. He's at Team Alpha Male. I think it's a great camp for him to improve his grappling. Ultimately, I think this fight is where it's going to come down to here. If he stays on the feet, I think he's a little bit more crisper guy. He's a more technical guy, and I like him a little bit more. I think that Kang has power, though. I think he can hang with him on the feet. I think they're very, very similar on the feet. Skill-wise, maybe I give the edge to Ramos. Once it goes to the ground, I think this is where Kang can win the fight. I think if he can put all that weight on him, he's going to be the bigger guy. I think height-wise, they're the same kind of height. I think he's got a longer reach, but I think he will way more come fight time personally. But I know they're in California and things are a little bit different with the weights and stuff, so who knows how big he's going to be. That's why I think that if he can put Ramos against the cage. Now, Ramos did very well in the Tanaka fight by he actually took Tanaka down with his back against the cage with a nice trip and got to side control before Tanaka got back to his feet. I think that Kang is a guy who can put you down there and keep you there for a long time, and he looks for submissions, takes the back very, very well. He could be, I think he's got a great body triangle, which he can move around. He can move from the front, like he'd be on the side, like you saw in I think it was the Tanaka fight, and then move round to the back very, very quickly, looks for submissions. Sometimes he gets them, sometimes he doesn't, but I think he's a really dangerous guy on the ground. That's where I see the fight being won and lost. I think if he can stay competitive on the feet and he can get the opportunity to put him against the fence and take him down, I think he wins the fight. And I'm more confident picking Kyung Ho Kang in this spot. I think he could potentially get a submission. I'm seeing people saying it's submission or bust for him. I think he's got a genuine chance of submitting this kid. But if it goes to a decision, I think it could be a lot closer. For me, I feel more confident picking the underdog in this one here in Kang. And I took some shit last week for picking 11 of 12 fights for the favourite. And by fight time, Aldo was an underdog and Antigulov was an underdog and Hernandez. So this is just how I see the fights going, so I'm not really caring what other people are saying. This is just how I see it. Last week it proved to be decent in my favour. Other events it might not, but I'm going to pick Kang. I'm going to pick him via decision. I think it'll be close though because I do rate both guys here. Moving on, and this is another really good fight. We have a Jose Shorty Torres against Alex Perez in a flyweight encounter. And Alex, both guys I think are great additions to the flyweight division. We need more guys like this, legit talents, who, especially with Torres, is a guy that we've seen pretty much from his. I think all his professional fights are out there. He was on Titan. He got a great platform on there, and ultimately went ahead and he was the face of Titan with his 2 championship wins at flyweight and at bantamweight. got his opportunity to come in at UFC Utica against Jared Brooks. Did not look great in that fight. Brooks is a guy he's in your face. He's very aggressive. He's very strong for the division. He's a short, kind of stout guy who can throw you around, and he did that to Torres. And Torres is a good wrestler. Don't get that twisted. I think he's a very, very good wrestler who's got great takedowns on himself and great grappling. But Brooks was just a more aggressive guy and was really putting on him. And then he made a absolute. I watch it back, and it's like such a stupid thing to do, and knocked himself out. He was going for a big slam, literally in midair, throwing Torres around, landed on his head, put himself out, and Torres got the stoppage. Like I said, very good rate. I think he's more technical in the feet than Perez. I think he is a fair bit above what Perez is on the feet. I think he can implement. He's got, when you look at him, better footwork. There's something that I actually looked at from his Titan days. Better footwork. I think he's got a bit more power. Throws at better angles. A little bit. He's definitely more diverse than what Perez is. Perez is a grappler by trade, and he's shown that in his UFC bouts here, where he's, like I say, he's looked okay to say the least. I think that these 2 wins in the UFC are indications of what he is going to do in the UFC. Like Carl's John de Thomas, like I say, a guy I don't overly rate too highly, but he's nonetheless the guy that you need to beat, and he beat him fairly convincingly. And then last time out, he beat Eric Shilton, who I don't think he's a top level guy by any means, but it's still a decent win. He did get taken down a couple of times in that fight. I think Torres can take him down. Like I say, he is a really good submission grappler. Darce chokes, Anaconda chokes. You can't give this opportunity to. He had Bravo chokes, I think, out there. I remember watching that one against Tyler. I can't remember his surname though. Not Tyler. It was Andrew. Sorry, I think it was Navidad or something. He caught him with a Bravo choke. So this guy's got lots of really good submissions, and that's where ultimately I think he's going to want to take this. He's going to want to take it to the ground. I don't think he's going to be able to take him down, take Torres down as easy. I don't like the fact that Torres is fighting again so soon. He fought in early June, and he's fighting here early August. I don't know how much preparation or how much improvement you can really get in those 2 months. The one thing I do like that I've spotted on his social media, he did his whole camp for the last 6 weeks with Kyoji Horiguchi, who fought at Risen on early Sunday morning. If you're training with that guy, who's probably the number 2 flyweight out there in the world, in my opinion, you're going to improve, and that's a class sparring partner to be learning off. For me, and I'm really surprised actually by the betting line in this. He's a plus 125 underdog, and that surprised me. I never looked at the books until last night, and I was on Torres originally. I think he's got a tough fight, but I think he's got the wrestling to stop Perez taking him down, and I think he is the better striker. So ultimately, I'm going to pick him to win via a decision here. That is going to be my pick. I'm going to pick Jose Shorty Torres via pretty unanimous decision. I think he stops the takedowns and kind of beats Perez up a little bit. But like I say, Perez is his game is to come. He's got a great record. Not the best record, but he's fought a lot of fights. He's got a lot of experience, and it's a good fight for Jose Torres, in my opinion. So I'm picking him via decision. Moving on to the FX prelims now. We start off in the featherweight division with Matt Sayles against Sheymon Moraes. Matt Sayles, never really heard about him until obviously the Dana White show, which was very, very low, not that long ago, to be honest with you, where he beat that Hadji, caught him with a beautiful shot as he was kind of coming in. Hadji looked a little bit kind of cocky, and he got made to pay for it with a beautiful shot, and then he followed it up. Does a lot of his camp. He comes out Alliance in San Diego, and I've watched a couple of interviews with Dominic Cruz where he raves out, and he's going to rave about him because he is the guy. He's hyping up his own guys from his gym. I recognise that. Went back and watched. I think it was the George Hickman loss, and that was pretty convincing for Hickman. I thought at the Phoenix event. I think it was. I think he's a solid overall fighter. I think he's really good in a lot of areas. I don't think he's great in any areas, and he's not got all that much experience. Love the fact that he's beat guys with majority with winning records, which is something I like with guys coming into the UFC. And He's facing off against Sheymon Moraes here, who I like as a fighter. I think he's a really good addition to the UFC, coming from the World Series of Fights there. Had a really tough gig in his UFC debut against the beat Magomed Sharapov. But I thought he gave a good account of himself, even though he got dominated, but he showed glimpses of what he's got. He's got a really established jab, really good footwork, really nice angles. Like I said, I think he's got really competent striking. I think he's got a beautiful switch kick, which he can throw to the body extremely quick. He can go up top with it very, very quick. And this was a fight that I had no inkling about and whatsoever until I went and had a look at the line it was actually this morning, this one. No, it was last night, yeah. And he was the betting underdog, and I'm like, that makes zero sense to me. He's got more experience. He's been in there with Luis Palomino, who's a really tough, hard-nosed fighter. Marlon Moraes he was in there with, who is one of the best bantamweights in the world. And I'm like, he's the underdog to a guy who fought in Dana's show. I bet Sheymon Moraes. I think, like I say, I think he can. I think Matt Sayles is going to use a wrestling game plan here. You seen with Zabit, he took Sheymon down a few times, threw him about with some judo throws, some suplexes. But Zabit is a massive guy for featherweight. He frames off so well, and he's a rough guy to fight, especially in your UFC debut. This to me is a clear step up for Matt Sayles. I'm seeing a lot of people very confident in Matt Sayles, and maybe they see something I don't. I think he's going to use a wrestling strategy here, but I think that Moraes is going to stop him from doing that. And on the feet, I think he's the more competent striker. And for me, I'm going to pick Sheymon Moraes. I think he can stop him, actually. I'm going to pick TKO in round number 2 for Sheymon Moraes. And I got plus 110 on Sheymon Moraes. Very surprised at that line. I think it should be flipped. And maybe Moraes should be a little bit of a bigger dog, like a minus 130 maybe. Maybe 130, 140, but for me, I'm picking Moraes for a TKO in round number 2. Moving on, the women's bantamweight division with Bethe Correia against Irene Aldana. This is one of my more confident picks on the card, and you can never really be too confident in kind of either one of these girls, but I am confident in what I see from Irene Aldana. Bethe Correia is just not a great fighter. The only thing great about Bethe Correia is that ass that she's got. That ass is banging. So yeah, it's always a thing when I hear a bitch got a fight. I was like, I'll go and have a view of our old weigh-in pictures where she used to wear the tiniest things at the weigh-ins. But what she is she's game. She's got no real power. She just throws a lot of strikes, especially if she's got you backed up against the cage. She's coming off a pretty devastating knockout a year ago where she was telling Holly Holm, come on, and then she got hit with one of those question mark kicks, landed on her ass, and Holly finished her up with just a strike to the face, and it really did rock her. She's been out for a good year. But how I see her winning this fight, I don't think she's going to outstrike Aldana. I don't think she's going to hurt her. I don't think she's going to take her down. I think she's going to be the end of the long strikes that Aldana's going to throw. Now, Aldana, she got her UFC win last time out against Talita Bernardo. She should have finished that fight. She had her hurt multiple occasions and should have got her out of there, and it got a little bit dicey with some submissions, some takedowns that Bernardo got, but still she kind of beat the ass of Bernardo quite a bit there. So that obviously confidence has got to be up here against Correia, she's got a long reach advantage over, I believe, if I remember off the top of my head. Sometimes the numbers I get mixed up a little bit, and she's got the better technical boxing. Correia's going to come in and she's just going to throw shots where if she stays long and straight, I think she will pick her apart all day long and beat her up. And like I said, I don't think she's going to take her down. So one of my most confident picks on the card is going to be Irene Aldana. I think she could knock out Bethe Correia if she hits her with the right shot. She has to be aggressive though, and don't make the fight closer than it needs to be, because we've seen that Bethe has got a couple of wins in there, especially against Jessica I, where I thought I actually won that fight, and then she got the nod in Cleveland, which was crazy. I thought the hometown girl was definitely going to get that, and it never came to fruition. I'm going to pick Irene Aldana. Do I pick her via stoppage? Most girl fights go to decision, usually. If she doesn't get her out of there early, I think it goes to decision. So I'm going to go a decision for Irene Aldana on that one. Moving on, we have Ricky Simon against Montel Jackson. Two young guys in the sport who are coming through. Montel Jackson was on the Dana White show, and he had a vicious knockout in that one. Then he's got the call after Benito Lopez pulled out due to a really bad injury. We'll start with Ricky, who is a guy that I've known, if you watch some of the fights outside the UFC, really solid guy, and had an absolute barn burner of a fight against Merab Dvalishvili, where it was one of the craziest finishes I think I've ever seen and watching the sport for as long as I have. I think he was maybe on his way to losing that fight. Caught him in a submission, and I think it was a good maybe 20-30 seconds that Merab was in that, and the bell rung for the end of the fight. And I thought Merab was just going to get back to his feet because he was defending. He was kicking with his legs. I thought he was actually tapping with his feet at the time. It turned out it wasn't. Tried to go up and then went out, and then he walked back up and he couldn't get his bearings about it. And then they called the fight, and Ricky got the stoppage win because he couldn't get back to his feet and get back up and so on. But Ricky got hit with a lot of shots. He got hit with a lot of takedowns. I think he got taken down like 6 times. But Ricky is a really tenacious guy himself. I just think that Merab was a tough fight. I think he kind of got a little bit lucky. But he's a really, really solid fight and a really good addition into the UFC. And he's coming off a nice win, which is always nice. But like I say, a very aggressive guy. Montel Jackson, I think his nickname's Quick, very quick hands, a lot of power as well. Fights out in Milwaukee, not the Rufus Sport. He doesn't come from there, so I think it's the Pura Vida BJJ gym. And this guy's got some legit speed. I have seen him submitted in the past. I have seen him taken down in the past. And I'm seeing some people online and on forums and so on really high with this guy. And I can see why. When you go back and watch his fights, he's got really good hand speed, really good combination striking, and he throws with ill intentions all the time. Now, I think Ricky, for me, has to try and establish takedowns in this fight and don't get caught long by what Montel's going to throw. Because if he does, he could be looking at the lights here. I'm seeing a very, very close fight where I think that Jackson could maybe catch him with some shots, maybe initially put him down, but I do see Ricky getting takedowns. And if this fight goes on later, I think Ricky's got a better gas tank and he goes, and he's just an absolute warrior of a fighter. I'm going to go Ricky Simon to win via decision, but honestly, it would not surprise me if Montel Jackson knocked him out. I seen in a book over here in the UK, he was plus 170. And I think on the 5 dimes on the American betting, I think it's like a pick 'em now. So some people have obviously, I don't understand that line in the UK. I think it's way off. And if you want a shot on that, I don't think it's a bad bet. But for me, I'm going to pick Ricky to win via a decision, but I think it could be close. It could be like a split decision as well. But not overly confident. And the main fight of the prelims were Pedro Munhoz against Brett Johns. This is another one I'm struggling with. People are writing off Brett Johns far too easy just because he lost a fight against a top 10 ranked guy in Aljamain Sterling, where sometimes it's just that time to take the first L, and that was the first time he took his L, and it was against a good guy, and now he's got himself another good guy here in Pedro Munhoz, who is very, very dangerous in many aspects of the game. But I think it's a winnable fight for Brett Johns. And I know that people are betting pretty big over here in the UK on Brett Johns. I've had a couple of messages regarding that, and I don't think it's the worst bet in the world, if I'm being honest with you. Like you say, he kind of got out-grappled by Aldrich. That kind of old-school wrestling, American wrestling, really beat out Brett Johns, which he's known to be a really good grappler. And he takes people down. I think when it comes to the feet here, Brett is definitely the more technical striker. I think he's a really good striker. He doesn't really show it as much. But Pedro eats a lot of shots, but can also hit you with a lot of shots. We've seen him put guys down with head kicks in the past. We've seen Stasiak had a little bit of a... he did fairly well against Munhoz with his strike, and I think Brett is a better striker than what Stasiak is. But like I say, Pedro is a really dangerous guy. If you shoot in this guy, you need to make sure that your takedown is absolutely perfect, because if you leave anything out there, if you go body to body and you've got a limb there that he can grab, he will submit you. We've seen it with Rob Font. We've seen it with, who was his last opponent? I've managed to forget who he was against. last time out. But the Rob Font one really sticks in my mind when I see that. John Dodson, that was it. It was the Rob Font that was one before that, but he lost a close split against John Dodson there. Like I say, Brett Jones, to me, I think can strike with Pedro. I think Pedro is the more dynamic striker, a little bit more power. I think that Brett Jones has got a really good judo as well. We've seen that. It's something that I've talked to him about, is his judo, that it's underestimated. People don't know that he's got it all too much, and he can take guys down. I ultimately think he can take Pedro down. And he's got underrated jiu-jitsu. He showed that in the Joe Soto fight, that he's got some funky submissions out there. He's training with good guys over here in the UK or in Wales. He's bringing in good guys to get his jiu-jitsu on point. I've been going back and forth in this, I'll be honest with you. I think I was originally on Brett Jones. I think this stays on the feet for the majority of the fight, and then Brett will try and get takedowns late on, but you got to be careful with Pedro Munhoz. And if you make the slightest mistake, he will catch you, and he will you could be waking up looking at the lights. I see a very, very close fight. If Brett can establish early and win the first round, I think he's in with a great chance of winning the fight. I think he wins close fights very well, or he has done in the past. And he's faced good opposition outside of the UFC as well. I'm going to go, actually, I changed my mind a couple of days ago and went to Pedro Munhoz because I think he's dangerous. I do think the fight is close. I think that Brett has to be aggressive, and that might play into the hands of Pedro a little bit. So I'm going to go Pedro Munhoz via decision. But honestly, I think that Brett Jones is a live dog here. This is a great card for DraftKings, by the way. I think there's going to be dogs aplenty winning this one here. I'm going to pick Munhoz via decision, though. So that's us done with the prelims, and now on to the main card, and it starts off in the featherweight division with Killer Cub. Maybe not so much nowadays. Cub Swanson against Renato Moicano. Really good fight. I think it's a great fight in the time of the division. Swanson, I think, is one of these guys. He's like a gatekeeper into that top 5, 6 in that division, and that's somewhere I think Renato Moicano is at, and he's going to be at. I think he's a really dangerous guy and a really all-around great fighter in that division. We'll start off with Moicano. I'm a huge admirer of this guy. I bet him last time out against Calvin Kattar. People were writing him off, saying he's going to get knocked out. Kattar's the better striker. He totally outstruck Calvin Kattar. Was 100 times. I think he landed like 141 significant strikes, and he was landing with beautiful combinations, and was just the faster guy against the guy in Kattar who's got legit striking. But he outstruck the striker pretty much, and I did not see that coming in that fight. I thought he was going to establish takedowns and win via jiu-jitsu or his wrestling and get to decision. Totally outclassed Calvin Kattar across 15 minutes of that fight. Used, like I say, beautiful leg kicks, which led to combinations on the feet, and Kattar just couldn't read him the entire fight there. We've seen him garner. What I like about Moicano as well, he fights to a game plan pretty well. I love the Jeremy Stevens fights, for instance, where he hit his shots and got out the way of the power shots that Jeremy Stevens was thrown back at him, and was just on his feet, on his bike, moving around, but coming in forward and countering Jeremy Stevens very well when he got aggressive, because you know that Jeremy's going to get aggressive. He's going to come forward, and he got takedowns through that. I think he was on his way to beating Brian Ortega before he made. That was a bit of bad fight IQ of shooting in on someone like Ortega. Saying that, he did that earlier in the round. I think it was round 1 where he took him down at the bell to probably establish the first round and the second round. Made a mistake, got made to pay, and Ortega we've seen as one of the best guys in the division. Not a bad loss to have on your record. Cub Swanson, I do think he is at the latter part of his career. I do think he is like a gatekeeper now. We've seen him, he got fed to Ortega. At that point, I think I bet Cub Swanson that way. Like I say, I always seem to pick against Brian Ortega, which is silly of me. But he's facing guys like Artem. He was getting tagged in that fight. The Doho Choi fight, he was getting hit in that one. But that was a great fight. That was a back and forth war. But he has got really good boxing, really fast hands. But I think that Moicano's he's not going to have the opportunity to get those shots off personally. I really don't think that he will get the opportunity to get those shots off of Moicano. Like I say, he's on a 2-fight skid. Lost to Ortega, lost to Frankie Edgar again. Before that, he beat Lobov, Choi, Kawajiri. Even Kawajiri was landing shots on this guy, and Hakran Diaz. For me, I just think the overall better fighter in many aspects of the game is Renato Moicano. I think he fights smart. I think he's got great striking. I think he's got great jiu-jitsu. I think he's got well-timed takedowns. Not unless Cub catches him early, I struggle to see him. He can definitely hurt Moicano, but I think Moicano's just a very smart fighter and a very, very, very good fighter. One of my most confident picks in the card. It's just a shame his line is so bad. If he was anything in the minus 200s anywhere, I would probably hit that, or I would parlay him up with something else. I don't really think it's a parlay card, if I'm being honest with you. But yeah, I'm going to pick Moicano. I think he's going to get him to the ground. I think he's going to submit Cub Swanson. We have seen him submitted a few times in the past with Ortega, obviously, and Max Holloway and Frankie Edgar in the past. But I think Moicano's on that level. I think he's a top 5 featherweight, in my opinion. So I'm going to pick Moicano via second round submission now. Moving on in the women's strawweight division, we have Polyana Viana against JJ Aldrich, and obviously a fight that should never be on a UFC pay-per-view, but it is nonetheless here. Polyana Viana, I don't think you can really get much more of an easier introduction to the UFC personally in Maya Stevenson, who looked, I think the word jobber is not too far out of the equation against her, personally. What we've seen in Viana, what I've seen outside the UFC, she's got one-shot power to put girls down, which is something you always have to be careful with, because like I think it was Amanda Rebus that she did that to, and that is something that you, like I say, you have to be extremely careful about. So yeah, what she showed in that one there, she's got takedowns. She's a very aggressive grappler, and I think her main skill set is jiu-jitsu. I know she won some Brazilian jiu-jitsu nationals, and I think she's got some world honors maybe in there, if I remember right. But she's a very aggressive grappler. But I think Maya Stevenson is the lowest of the low in that division, and I think she's got a terrible record, and she's not got much skills on the ground there, and she was completely outclassed. Would like to see a little bit more from Viana. I have watched, I think, majority of her fights outside the UFC, and her striking is there, but I think her biggest skill set by far is her jiu-jitsu, and that's where she will have the advantage in this fight if she gets it there against JJ Aldrich. Aldrich is a girl I can never really read too well. I always think she's going to lose, and I think she always ends up being better than what I originally think. And I think I picked Taylor against her, and she beat her pretty convincingly. Like how I see this fight pretty much is if Polyana Viana can't get the takedowns to get it to the ground on Viana, I think that JJ Aldrich is going to outwork her on the feet. And I don't think she'll overly hurt her on the feet, but she'll outwork her and she'll win rounds through that. Love the fact that she comes from Denver. She's going to have 15 minutes of hard fighting in her if it goes that long. She's in the same camp as the champion of the division, which has got to rub off on JJ Aldrich and inspire confidence if you're in there and you're maybe getting better on the small things against the champion. And she's training with good girls, and Torres is another girl that she works a lot with, who fought Viana last weekend. And another fight where I think the line is completely off. I think she's plus 280 over here in the UK, and I'll come out and say I'm picking JJ Aldrich to win this fight. I think that she will stuff anything that Viana has. Viana's a hottie, by the way. She's a hottie Brazilian, which someone sent me an email with a picture of her, actually. I think it was last week. And I'm like, yeah, she's a pretty girl. But when it comes to, I think, overall fighting, JJ Aldrich has got the more experience. She's fought in Invicta. She's fought girls. She's stopped girls with takedowns before, like Jamie Moyle, I think, was a girl that I think she lost to her, but she stopped takedowns in that one there, and I think they're better all-around wrestlers and grapplers than what Viana is. But I do worry if this goes to the ground, because I think that she is dynamic down there. She is very aggressive, and she can find a submission very, very quickly. For me, I just think JJ's going to stop takedowns, and she's going to ping her up a little bit more, and I think that Viana could start to tire a little bit, and just the work rate of JJ Aldrich is going to take over. So for me, I'm probably going to bet JJ Aldrich as well. I think the odds are way off. I think it's worth a definite play for me. I see it. There's a load of guys on here that I think is worth plays on. But JJ Aldrich is one that I like. Small, and you can get bigger returns off it. So JJ Aldrich, fair decision for me in that one there. Thiago Santos against the newcomer and Kevin Holland here. If you don't know about Kevin Holland, I've known about him for a few years. Very flashy guy. Fought in Dana White's Contender Series a few weeks back. But I thought he completely shot the bed in that fight. I didn't think he fought well at all. And when in there, I thought he made himself look like a bit of an ass, personally. This fight only got added literally last week after Gustafsson, I think, pulled out. Because Ozdemir pulled out, but they were trying to make Khalil against Gustafsson, but it got pulled. Then this fight got put together, and I think it's a horrible match for Thiago Santos. I don't think he gains anything off it, and he's facing a guy who I think is very, very good and has beat UFC welterweights that are in the UFC already. I know it's at 185, and we all know what Thiago is. Thiago is an absolute quitter hitter. If he hits one quitter hitter, I should say, if he hits you with some of the strikes that he's got, you're going to be waking up at the lights, or he's got a baseball of a left kick. It's one of the most beautiful kicks that I think we have in the UFC, but I picked David Branch against him last time out. Didn't expect him to get knocked out like viciously like he did. Before that, he beat Anthony Smith, Jack Hermanson, Mia Short and Marshman. Decent names, and he all put them down. I think he's a knockout or bust guy. So that's what Kevin Holland has to do here. I think Kevin Holland is a very, very another live dog in this one here. I think the odds, I've not really looked at the odds of this fight because I know I'm not going to bet it. But Kevin Holland, like I say, a flashy guy, more than adequate on the feet. As long as he avoids the power of Santos, I don't think Santos is going to be rushing in for takedowns or any of that. But I think that Holland can maybe start to look for takedowns. And if he can get him to the ground, I think he can maybe keep Santos there. I know there's people that's going to bet Kevin Holland, and I think they're going to be fairly heavy on him. Not for me personally, especially after the Dana White thing. That just really kind of pissed me off and put me off him for a little bit. But he is a flashy striker, a very, very confident young man, and a good addition to the middleweight division, or just a good addition to the UFC, in my opinion. He's a guy that fought in Bellator before the Dana White show. Like I say, I think there's a risky matchup for Santos. I don't understand. Maybe he just wanted to fight and he got put in there. I think it's a risky fight for Thiago Santos. Nothing to gain with it, and Kevin Holland's got everything. By the way, like Alexander Hernandez knocked out Beneil Dariush. This guy could maybe see himself being a ranked middleweight, which is crazy. Could happen. I honestly don't know where to go with this pick. I think I'm going to go Thiago Santos, and I think he's not going to win a decision, so I think he has to knock out Kevin Holland. So I'm going to go Thiago Santos for a second round knockout. But honestly, I can see Kevin Holland's hand maybe getting raised in this one. It's on short notice. All the pressure's on Thiago. Yeah, Kevin Holland, I think he could give Thiago some problems, but if I'm picking Thiago Santos, it has to be knockout or bust personally. So I'm going to go knockout for my head there on that one. On to the co-main event. Like I said, a rematch from, I think it's UFC. It's 180. No, it's 197. That's what it was. It wasn't 187 like I said earlier. It's 197. How was it, that card? Believe me. Demetrious Johnson against Henry Cejudo in an interesting rematch. We'll start with Cejudo. He says he's made improvements since the first fight. I believe that. I think he has as well. I think it's there to see. Knocked out Wilson Hayes, which I thought was a beautiful, beautiful win. And he kind of employed a more like kind of karate kind of base. And you've got to remember the guy's a Golden Gloves winner. Obviously, there's that Olympic gold medal for wrestling. But he's looked great against... He did what he had to do against Sergio and kind of shut him down with takedowns. And I thought he had a great game plan for that. Before that, he knocked out Wilson Hayes. Before that, he lost a very close split to Benavidez, which a lot of people gave him that fight, and I've no qualms. I had it for Benavidez, but if it went to Cejudo, I would have had no qualms about it whatsoever. But he has made improvements in those two fights since the last loss to Demetrious Johnson. He came out, we've seen an interview on Saturday night there during the Calgary broadcast that he says, "Can you imagine what I'm like 2 years on?" And the first thing I thought was, mate, you could have another 2 to 5 years. I still don't think you've got what it takes to dethrone Demetrious Johnson. We'll talk about the first fight early on in the first round because they didn't get out the first round. Henry took him down with a beautiful trip, got him down there, but Demetrious bucked him off so quick. Henry didn't know. I think it maybe shocked him a little bit that Demetrious popped back so quick. And then from there, Demetrious Johnson absolutely destroyed Henry Cejudo with body shots and folded him. It's of all the fight cards I've been to and all the fights I've seen, it's one of the ones that I sit there and I'm like, wow, that was an unbelievable performance, an unbelievable stoppage. Found a spot, pinpointed the spot where he felt him wilt a little bit, and then proceeded to throw knees and knock him out, and Cejudo went out. I managed to speak to Henry the night after that fight, actually. He was in the concourse of the MGM, and he says he couldn't believe the speed that DJ had, and he couldn't believe that he could do that to him so quickly. I could talk about Demetrious Johnson for the next, it's like 10 past 12. I could speak about him for the next hour until 1 a.m. in the morning and throw all the credentials his way and what he is and how good he is at everything. But people know he is one of the best, and he finds different ways to stop elite fighters and very, very good fighters, I should say. Maybe not elite, but good fighters. What he did to Reborg, he took him down. He was just dominant in that fight. He got taken down a couple of times himself, but always found a way to reverse or sweep. Suplexed him in midair. He's already adjusting for an armbar as soon as he hits the deck, and it's over from there. It's one of the most incredible things we've ever seen, I think, in the UFC. And I know there's going to be people out there that are going to be betting Henry Cejudo. I've actually got a friend who's laying down some serious money on him. Like I say, I'm not betting this fight, but he's laid down some serious money. So in that instance, I would love him to go ahead and win that bet. But I can't see where he beats Demetrious Johnson. Does he take him down and keep him there? I don't know. I don't think he can. I don't think he can establish a kind of top game to keep DJ there and win the rounds through it, because I think that DJ will get back to his feet. I think he's got submissions off his back. The dude is just dangerous in every facet of the game. The one thing that always scares me about guys who are facing Olympians is just the fact that he's been to the top of his profession or his sport in that discipline. MMA is totally different because there's so many disciplines that you need to learn. But he's got that wrestling there that if he turns up with that mindset that he had maybe in his Olympic run, he could potentially cause problems for DJ. I want Henry to come out here and prove me wrong and maybe push Demetrious to his limit. I don't see it. Demetrious is already, he knows how to hurt this guy. He will find another way to hurt this guy. And I think that Henry, once he starts to realise that he's not in this fight, he could get taken out. So for me, I've got Demetrious Johnson via stoppage. I think he can TKO him. He's just got too many weapons. I think he's got too much overall ability over Henry Cejudo. And it's coming to that time now where Demetrious needs to move up and face could be the winner of the main event or what. He needs to move up to 135. So many great fights for him up there with so many good fighters. That will cement his legacy because he's already the best flyweight. Nobody's going to beat the record the guy's got on right now. But like I say, Demetrious Johnson for me, and I'm a massive DJ fan. How can you not be a fan of this guy? Demetrious Johnson via third round TKO here. I think that Cejudo will show a little bit more of himself in this fight, but I don't think it's going to be enough, honestly. I think that DJ's going to show why he is one of the best ever. Ooh, on to the main event now. In a fight that, honestly, I cannot wait for. I was so pumped for the first fight, the animosity, the backstory between these two, the tough show. It's one of the fights that I was looking forward to the most back in 2017. And the fight delivered for the 7 minutes that it lasted. We've seen both guys just go for it. Both guys got put down. It was just a great fight. It was a great 7 minutes of fight, and I was enthralled by it. I've went back and watched it probably 5 to 6 times this week. and tried to pick apart what could happen in this one and so on. First thing I'll say, I don't know who said it, whether it was DC, whether it was Joe Rogan. I think it was DC actually. It says like if these guys fight 10 times, it could end up being even. I'm 100% on that same wavelength as what DC is. Both guys, I think, are extremely, extremely talented, but in different ways as well. So we'll start off with pretty much the first round, how it went down. TJ, I thought, was a little bit... TJ was going to... He came out and showed what he was going to show. Better movement, more angles, better footwork, the more diverse guy with the movement and so on, and with his striking as well. We'll put that out there. He is the more diverse striker against your traditional boxer in Cody Garbrandt. And he landed a few shots here and there, but eventually he had to come into the kill zone of Cody Garbrandt, and he got hit with a beautiful, accurate counter right hand straight on the chin in the last 10 seconds of that round. And I've said this to many people. I think that if there was another 20 seconds, he got TJ out of there. To be fair, TJ said he had his feet underneath him. I think he would have probably popped back to his feet. He could have popped back to his feet. But I think that Cody would have found another shot and put him down, personally. Then you went to the second. The one thing I hated about that was the end of the first round. Cody got cocky, and he let the emotions, I think, get in the way a little bit. And that's something I think he has to cut that shit out in this fight. He was dancing in the first round as well. I don't like that. Now, I know if you're a confident fighter, you show it off and you try and get in the head of your opponent. Don't do that shit. Concentrate on the job in hand. And then if you're comprehensively beating this guy, then maybe do it. I'm not a fan of doing it at all, because all it takes is one shot in this sport and you're going to be laid down with your arse in the air and your face in the canvas. And that ultimately what happened to Cody in this one. So like I say, we're getting to round two. Cody's already motioning, he's pointing to the ground like, I'm going to knock you out. Completely showing his confidence in this one. Then he gets hit with a counter. He gets hit with a high left kick that puts Cody down momentarily. They trade a couple of times where Cody has a couple of good instances, but then he gets hit with a massive, beautifully timed. Both shots that put the guys down were beautifully timed shots. The TJ one was a beautiful shot, it really was, and he followed up, and the fight got stopped from there. So, like, when you're breaking down these fighters, like I said, TJ, the more diverse striker, the more he's a better kicker, more angles, more speed on more speed. What's the word I was looking for? More diverse on the feet. He has more striking. He has more tools to his game. I think the wrestling actually outdoes one another. I think that Cody's got wrestling, but we just don't see it. When it comes to Cody Garbrandt, I think he's got a missile of a right hand, and if he hits you with it, with the speed that it comes at you, you're going to struggle to survive that one. If it's a beautifully placed straight shot down the pipe like the first one was, I think you could have problems with that. But saying that, he landed some big shots on Dominic Cruz, and Dominic Cruz still managed to survive a little bit there. I think he could have finished Dominic Cruz, got him out of there. The one thing that I don't want Cody to do here is just be confident. I think he's got that mindset that he has to win this fight. He can't lose to TJ twice in a row. I watched Countdown to UFC 227 this morning, and one of the things that kind of rung to me was like his mum and his wife seen that, and he's never want that to happen again. And I believe that they were showing it, saying they had a lot of stuff before that fight. I've seen Ali Abdelaziz come out and say there was so much stuff going on in that fight camp, that his head really wasn't all in the fight, which I don't know. I kind of struggle to believe that a little bit. I think that Cody, from meeting him a few times, and he's been great to me, that when he's in fight mode, he's 100% on the fight. So I'm a little bit iffy with that. So how do I see the fight going? I think for TJ, I think he needs to try and make Cody bite a little bit. So throw more feints and try and get Cody to come forward and be super aggressive where he leaves that chin in there. And we've seen that if you catch this guy, you can put him down. And we've seen that before, even his first amateur fight, we've seen that you can put him down. So try and throw a lot of feints, try and throw leg kicks and open up Cody up top so where you can catch him with that counter strike and put him down. For me, Cody is the better boxer, the better hand speed, and just a guy that if he catches you, I think he's got the killer instinct to take you out. He just never had enough time to do it in that first fight. Yeah. Everybody that I've seen on Twitter and some people that I speak to are super on TJ Dillashaw here. I'm going to go Cody Garbrandt. Now, I know I'm going to catch some shit because I am a massive Cody Garbrandt fan. And I think there is every chance that TJ could do what he did in the first fight. I've just got this feeling inside that Cody's going to level it up, and we're going to see a trilogy of these guys down the line at some point. I think that Cody's the younger, more hungrier fighter at this point. TJ's went to the top of the mountain twice. I don't think he deserved to. I picked Cruz in that fight, and I think he did win it. It was very close, but he sees it as being very ingracious that he got that belt taken away. So he is one of the best bantamweights we've ever seen outside of Cruz and so on. So, and he's got that belt back. So he's reached the top twice. He had that hunger. He went out there and beat legit guys to get back to that title shot, and Asun Sao and Lineker, two of the top guys in that division. Cody's getting an immediate rematch. I don't agree with that person. I thought he should have went out and beat a couple of guys, but the UFC knows the matchup they're putting together with these two. It's fireworks. There's a backstory. People want to see it again. I know I want to see it. So yeah, for me, I'm picking Cody Garbrandt. I'm picking him inside the first 2 rounds. I think he's more composed. I think I hope he cuts out the showboating, pointing the middle finger, talking, concentrate, and put this guy down, because he is hard to put away. But I ultimately think he can land. I think it's who lands first, honestly. If somebody lands with a big shot, both of them could wake up looking at the lights. For me, I actually bet Cody Garbrandt about 2 months ago. I think it was late April or early May, sorry. And he was plus 125. I thought it's a pick 'em. It should be the line should be a lot closer. So I put some money on Cody Garbrandt there. I'm going to pick him, like I say, in the first 2 rounds. It could be a first round knockout. Ultimately, if this fight goes long, I see it being really, really close. If it was to go to decision, I'd be super, super surprised, because I think both guys throw with ill intention, with a lot of strikes. They both have a lot of speed, and they both have power. So for me, I'm going to pick Cody Garbrandt via TKO. I'm going to go, did I go round 1? Round 1 or 2. It's going to be in the first couple of rounds. I'm going to pick around there. So that is my picks for UFC 227 from the Staples Center in LA. Like I say, to the people that are going out there that I know enjoy the card, you're lucky mofos. I wish I was out there with you. Now we've got a 3-week break. Next up, we've got Gaethje against Vic, which is going to be a great fight. So I always encourage a 3-week break. I'm going to spend it with the family, and anytime that I'm watching fights, it's now going to be with the family. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, thank you for the support. Go and if you're looking at bets and you want some expert advice, go down below, robbrownbetting.com. He will help you out. He will win you money. I guarantee it. I'd be super surprised if you were in there for the long haul and you didn't win money with this guy. He will win you money. Go to the website. Like I say, if you buy packages, I get a little bit back off that, which helps my daughter. So yeah, it is what it is. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to set a new goal, I think. Maybe try and hit 2,300 by the end of the year. I think it's very doable, considering I've gained like 70 in the last couple of weeks. We'll see. But I'm happy what I'm at now. MMA Huddle, my podcast. We talk more in depth. We answer questions. We talk about previous cards as well. So go and subscribe to my channel over there. Until next time, guys, enjoy UFC 227 when it comes around. I'm really looking forward to it. And all the best.